Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the TGIF edition of Today in Sports Betting. We're going to take a look at the NBA. We're going to take a look at Major League Baseball, and we're going to kick it off. And then we're going to do the UFC. So, man, just put those, just sit back and let those videos play. We're going to start it off with the NBA. I'm going to bring him on. You know him, you love him. He is the NBA sniper around here. It is Scott Reichel. Scotty, what's up?
Nothing much. I know we both had a pretty good day yesterday. Pretty chalky overall. The one play we thought about potentially getting sneaky with was Oklahoma City. And I'm sure a lot of Rockets people were sweating for about 2.5 quarters before the fourth quarter happened. Houston went on a 17-0 run. I'm a huge Chris Paul guy, but when you're negative 31 in 32 minutes,
Woo!
that's a bit of a problem, don't you think?
Woo! Yes, I do. Yes, I do think that. I mean, yeah.
Harden was terrible. I mean, what did he go? 2 for 10 from the floor, and they still won by double digits?
Let me ask you, did you ever think that Houston could win a game without Westbrook? Do you think they could win by 13 in a playoff game with Harden only going for 21?
The game plan was perfect for Oklahoma City. They just forgot to play offense in the second half.
Awful. Just awful there. It was Miami did their thing. Milwaukee did their thing, although we were sitting on 12.5 like we were talking about off air. Had to sweat it at the end. It was nice of them both to take a knee there as time expired within the last minute.
I know we were ranting about some stuff about that game before we went live. I have to bring it up. How bad is Chris Middleton?
He's not good. He is not good. He's maybe just a tick overpaid.
Well, based on yesterday's performance, he's about $35 million overpaid. But if you want to actually talk about the performance by Middleton, which I feel like we kind of have to, because I know that people were kind of distracted by the box score, saying, oh, Milwaukee won, who cares? They covered. That's all that matters. But I get it. That works for Orlando. But Chris Middleton cannot be your second best player, and he's going 1 for 8 for 2 points with 4 turnovers and 4 fouls. 1 for 8? What, are you kidding me?
A dreadful line. Dreadful line.
That's a line you'd see from Mario Hezonja. Like you can't have that be your $35 million player. That's just.
Is Hezonja your most hated player in the NBA?
The truth is, I loved him yesterday because I had the Lakers first half, and they just keep throwing him out there. But he's just painful to watch. It's just there's some players you look at in the league and go, I don't know how they're there. And as a Nets fan, Kurucs is one of those guys. He's just running around. He thinks he's better than he is. He just chucks up a bunch of threes. He never makes any of them.
Now, I thought Middleton did do a little bit better job on defense.
Defense, perhaps, but then again, you think about who Orlando had on offense, and the only person who played the game is Luka.
I get that.
I don't think there's anybody who's a more confident shooter. I don't want to say it's irrational confident, but just confident shooter than Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross is the king of shooting the ball within the first 4 seconds of touching it.
Yeah.
He's just going to chuck it every time. But Orlando, wasn't surprised. They started off terribly offensively. Milwaukee was going to come out hungry. We both said Milwaukee first half was definitely a look.
Mm-hmm.
And Milwaukee was up double digits after 1. They were up 20 at the half. And then second half came around. I personally had an in-play of Milwaukee minus 18.5, which didn't work out. But I really thought Orlando would just throw in the towel, wait for game 3, and I thought that Milwaukee would keep the foot on the gas. And Milwaukee tried to, but every time they benched Giannis and Middleton had the offense to himself, him and Bledsoe just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, just absolutely nothing. And and we talked about it. They refused to stop Vucevic. Orlando's
such a good player, but you assume when he has 15 points in the third quarter, maybe you want to guard him. It's like, nope, he's going to go for 20. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they don't care. And actually, Orlando ended up going +6 in the second half. So
they did. They were down 21 going into the half, and they ended up losing 15. So I had minus 18.5. I felt pretty good at the half. I thought Orlando was going to lose by 25. Just call it a day. I thought Milwaukee would just be really angry after game 1 that they would just not take their foot off the gas. And I don't even think Milwaukee took their foot off the gas. I just think that their supporting cast without Giannis was just awful.
Let me ask you: is it wrong that I think the guy cutting my yard waits until I get on the air?
It's all about the perfect moment to strike.
I think he waits to just.
I didn't even hear anything, but I'll take your word for it.
Good. He's like riding the mower right by my window. So.
Props to Milwaukee for getting the job done, but when you're when your opponent is throwing out Fultz, Fournier, Vucevic, Ennis, and Clark, and you won 56 games, you probably should beat them by 15 every time you play. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. All right, very good. So let's take a look at
and then you got the Lakers, who just absolutely – the game was over in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. That worked out.
Shout out to Terry Stotts, who got angry at a reporter who asked him why he kept Lillard in the game down 30. And Stotts, he basically cursed out the reporter. And I was thinking to myself, that's a valuable question. You're an idiot.
Of course, now Lillard has a dislocated finger.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not want your star player to be playing down 30 points with 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter? I had the main issue with the Lakers doing that because Anthony Davis rolled his ankle on the stanchion about 5 minutes prior, and he was still in the game with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and I had no idea what Vogel was doing. He took LeBron out. He kept Anthony Davis in. I just wasn't sure what the point was. And then I realized, Lillard's also on the court. And then I see Lillard dislocate a finger, and I think, Stotts, you're an idiot. Okay, fair enough. And then he gets angry at the reporter for asking him the question that everybody wants to know.
Yeah,
Does that make any sense?
You know what? You ask these guys questions 10 minutes, 15 minutes after a tough loss like that, you're going to get snappy answers.
No, I'm fine with I can understand why he was upset about it because I know hindsight's 20/20. But I'm asking you personally, would you have kept Lillard in the game with 2 minutes left in the third quarter down 30?
I don't think so. But then again, you never throw in the towel. You never say die.
I don't know if you can say that though. I mean, people are going to think immediately, well, the Clippers had that 30-something point comeback against the Warriors a couple years ago.
Right.
That's a big deal. But it's different because the Clippers lost game one. They needed to win game two. They couldn't go down 2-0. Portland already won game one. You didn't really need to force the issue down 30 and keep your star players, and you could just wait for the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's
just going, Lillard, my golden goose who's carried me the entire time in my career. Yeah, I'm just going to let him, throw him out there down 30, and then he gets injured. I'm thinking, I don't know what you expected to happen.
As a gambler, I'm going to play the odds. I think you have a 2% chance or less of coming back from 30 down. If
30 down in that game, I think 1% would have been generous.
Yeah,
that game was over.
If you look at the odds, it probably happens 1 out of 100 times.
I think that's way too low. I think it's probably a lot higher.
So from a numbers perspective, from a math perspective, it doesn't make any sense to have him out there. But that's not necessarily how they coach. So
you think Portland's screwed now?
Depends on if he can go for the next game. We'll see what happens.
I'm assuming that he'll play, but I'm assuming he's not going to be anywhere near 100% for the rest of the season.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's left hand or right hand. I don't know if it's dominant hand or not. So
they might have been dead anyway. It really looked like they were going to be dead anyway. But if Lillard's actually injured, which he is, I think that they might be screwed. So,
well, the one thing that the Lakers can do, and I counted on this yesterday. I made this game one of my premium picks. Is the defense is still very
great. Their defense is great.
So I like the under there. You and I disagreed on that one.
I disagreed solely because I thought the total was stupid, and apparently the total was actually stupid because that game went under by 30-something points.
Yeah, the total was stupid, way too high. So. All right, let's take a look. Miami did their thing. That was
my brief rant on Terry Stotts. I give him an F. I thought that was terrible.
All right, fair enough. Let's get rolling today, man. We got an early game. We're probably not going to make that one. Quick thoughts. Toronto, Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn done there, Scott?
I know Joe Harris left the bubble. I'm not saying Joe Harris is a great player by any means. I think he's a good three-point shooter. But anytime one of your best remaining players after all your other players previously didn't show up. Now he's leaving the bubble. I got to assume the Nets gave their best punch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And Toronto withstood it. I live bet Toronto in the start of the fourth quarter at a plus price in the money line, and they ended up winning. But I got to assume the Nets are going to – I think if they go down early, I think it's going to get really ugly.
Yeah. Harris had 15 boards last time out. And
that was shocking to me.
I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, he's normally around 6 or 8, but
he's a 3-point specialist. That's basically what he is. But you look at who they have now. You have LeVert, and I know Jared Allen's not an offensive player, but you're looking at who they have to actually score the ball, and you're looking at him like Tyler Johnson. Like I don't know.
It's the
Temple. You don't really have many options here.
It's like the zombie Nets, man. It's just.
I give them props for being competitive, though. As a Nets fan, they've been better than I could have possibly imagined in the bubble, and I want them to keep Vaughn as the coach. Any coach who can actually get this much effort from an automatic lose-lose scenario, and they're actually been able to beat some teams, keep that guy as the head coach because he clearly gets his players to play hard for him, and that's half the battle you need as a head coach.
Agreed. You know, when he gets talent back next year, when everybody gets healthy,
assuming Kyrie and KD will want to listen to him, but I do respect that he showed up in a really bad situation, and the players are running with it. I gotta respect it.
Yeah, agreed. I
think Toronto's going to kill him today.
I don't see any way around that. I think
I would play the Nets team total under if they really wanted to look at anything. You can make the argument that maybe it'll be more high scoring than people think, but without Harris, with no ability to stretch the floor now, totals at 219. You've seen money on the under, so the Nets over under should be around. What should the over under be around? About 105, give or take.
What is it? 11 point spread. So you're
19, roughly around 105. A little bit less.
215, 204. Yeah, something. Or 115, 104.
That would be my assumption.
Yeah, I think the Nets are going to be. Yeah, that's.
I don't know if they're going to break 100. Toronto's defensively is so good, and Brooklyn. Once again, props them for trying, but they're good. They're going to get. I just don't see how they're going to score today.
I think we like the Raptors there, and Brooklyn to go team total under. Yeah, that's a.
I got to assume Nick Nurse cannot be happy about the performance of Game 2.
I wouldn't think so.
So yeah, that's kind of my thought.
All right, Nuggets and Jazz. The switches to the Jazz is the home team. So
the series is very tricky for me. It's because I thought the series would be somewhat close.
Yeah.
Going in, then Conley was out, and I thought Denver would kind of roll through the first 2 games. Even though I actually had a Utah money line for Game 2 because I watched Denver in Game 1, and when Game 1 went to overtime without Conley, I could just tell again, all right, Denver's going to do Denver things in the playoffs again. But I like Utah. I think I've completely flipped my opinion on this series, and the main reason why, the same reason why I don't like Denver in the playoffs every year. You just watch them play, and they look disinterested at times. And I never get the opinion that they're in a must-win game. I never get that vibe. It seems like they treat every game like a regular season game, and they will just refuse to hurt anybody because they think that it's a regular season game. They have not made any adjustments defensively.
Yeah, the defense.
Michael Porter Jr. has been great. Jokic has been great. Murray, I always thought was a streaky player. He's probably not worth $30+ million a year. I think he's good. I don't think he's a superstar point guard. He has very high highs, but very low lows, and those lows appear a decent amount of the time. I like Quinn Snyder as a coach. I think he's a better coach than Mike Malone, and Conley's back. I like the way Utah's wired. Even though on paper Denver should win the series in 5, so I'm going to lean to Utah.
Yeah, Denver. That defense of Denver it troubles me. I don't think
not good.
No, they don't have nearly the scheme.
Nobody can guard Mitchell.
Nor the
on that entire team. Mitchell can do whatever he wants for 40+ minutes a game.
Absolutely.
Are you also leaning Utah? I don't know how sharp Conley's going to be, but it definitely helps the depth at least.
I don't see any way that the team that was competitive without Mike Conley doesn't get over the hump with him.
I give props to Jordan Clarkson because I roast him pretty heavily because whether he plays well or poorly, he's going to shoot the ball 20 times a game. Yeah. He was great in Game 2. I think every team would feel a lot better if Jordan Clarkson was coming off the bench in comparison to starting. So I think that Clarkson will help the bench unit out, and Conley will provide some solid defense alongside with pretty good shooting, which he has shown in the bubble. So I like Utah in this matchup. Would I be shocked if Denver wins? No. But until they show me some effort defensively, I can't take them.
I agree. Yeah, the Denver defense is just dreadful. All right, yeah, I'm with you on Utah there. I think the wrong team is favored there. I'm stunned at that line.
I'm not stunned because Vegas always goes based on projections.
Well, it's a public line. It's
projections are all going to tell you Denver should win, and it makes sense if you look at the roster. But based on how the teams are currently playing, I think Utah can win in a variety of ways. Utah can win by playing good defense and winning a barn burner. They could also score like 120+ points as they did in Game 2 and win that way. Denver, I think, actually needs to score like 115+ points in order to win games.
No question. No
So
question about it.
I like Utah because I think that they can win in numerous ways, and I just don't feel that way about Denver.
All right, good enough. Let's go on to the Celtics. Boston. This game opened at 5. It's now 5.5. Boston.
But yeah,
Celtics.
this was my play today, so I'm not really going to touch about the sides, but I'm only going to talk about the total as a result. I'd lean over. I think this total is way too low.
Yeah. Well, this is a situation where the Sixers literally have one player, and Boston really can't stop him, and it really doesn't matter. He's not able to beat him. He's not able to beat him by himself. Even without Hayward, I thought that would make a little bit of a difference. It hasn't.
I said it wouldn't, so especially against Philly. I think it might matter against teams in the future.
Oh, sure. No, yeah.
Toronto, I think you need the boost, but against Philly, I didn't care.
I think Boston rolls them up again there. I really do.
Question that you have to ask yourself when it comes to betting Philadelphia is, do you think Philadelphia is going to show up in a must-win game? If you think yes, you think Brett Brown's going to give a good speech to rile up the team. If you think yes, then take Philly. If you don't, then take Boston. Because this line is solely priced on the idea that Philly's going to respond to a must-win game and throw it all, give Boston all they can handle by throwing everything but the kitchen sink at them. And I feel like people are overestimating the motivational skills of Coach Brown.
Yeah, I think
is that a very polite, safe way of putting it?
It is, and I also think the public is overestimating the level that they can attain even playing max effort. I still don't think they're within 5.5 points of Boston on their best day.
I think the only way realistically that Philadelphia keeps this game close or wins is if Embiid drops 40.
Yes.
I think that's the only way that they have a shot. And the question you have to ask also, Embiid is a guy who I know is a phenomenal talent, but you can see his awful body language when things are going badly. And it happens all the time when they're losing.
Where is it on his sleeve?
He wants to punch everybody on the roster on the bench every single time when he's sobbing with a towel over his head on the bench.
Well,
if it gets that early, there's no way they're coming from behind.
As someone who hates KU with a white-hot passion, I've despised Embiid for a long time now.
He's a great player. But I think you can agree that when it comes to his emotional state, he leaves a lot to be desired for a superstar player.
He's 12. That's what he is.
So I think that touches upon my statement, which is that unless Philadelphia gets off to a hot start and is up in the first half, if they're down early, I don't see them coming back.
Live bet it, baby. If they go down double digits,
I think if you're looking for an angle on Philly, I would take first quarter, because I think it wouldn't surprise me if, like game 2, Philadelphia comes out quickly and then slowly fades as the game goes on.
Yeah,
but if Philly needs to have kind of like what I said about the Lakers yesterday, which is that the team needs to have a good first half. If not, they're basically screwed. And the Lakers came out and were up double digits at the end of the first half, and you could tell, all right, they took control.
Yep,
that's the main takeaway here. So I'm going to lean to the over.
Okay.
Both teams, Philadelphia can't stop Boston offensively. Tatum's doing whatever he wants. Brown can do whatever he wants. Even Kemba's been really good this series. Philadelphia, they have one unstoppable offensive player. And Philadelphia might rely heavily on three-point shooting once Boston collapses on Embiid. But I think Philly could score 105. I think Boston should be scoring 115 at least in every game they play against Philly. So yeah. I'll look to the over. Now
the series has kind of been one of the more intriguing series of this first round, Scott.
I'm praying for less fouls. That's all. I don't even know I can watch the game, honestly. I gotta do a feel out process in the first quarter, see how the fouls go, and then maybe I'll watch the entire thing. Because
are they changing crews? Do these crews stay with them for the whole series? How does that work? Do you know?
I think they rotate, but I'm not. And they're all in the same location, so I'm assuming that they rotate.
All right. Well, that would be a good thing.
Anybody but what the hell was his name? Foster was the referee for game 2.
Right. What they decide? What was they had 53 fouls the other night?
They had 58 fouls in
58 fouls in 48 minutes. That's unsustainable. You just can't.
I couldn't watch it. Now, if you ask me what I think about this game, I gave out that parlay last week where I had the Clippers minus 1.5 games in that series, and I know people are worried about it. I'm not. I'm really just not worried about it. I think that Dallas, first of all, Doncic is one of the best players I've ever seen.
He's all good.
And I said when he was coming out to the NBA, I said he'd be a future Hall of Famer and he'd be one of the best players in the league within the first 5 years. I didn't think he'd be one of the best players in 2 years.
Yeah, he's top five
He's
for sure.
actually a generational talent who's going to run the league within the next decade.
Yeah, no question. Him and Jokic, I think, are going to
But
be.
I figured the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi, two of the best on-ball defenders in the league, I thought they would be able to at least provide some resistance. And I know that Doncic had 11 turnovers in game one. They actually can't guard him. Doncic is actually doing whatever he wants on every single possession, and they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, agreed.
So Rivers has to come up with something. Porzingis was pretty good in game two. He still has the banged-up leg, so I'm a little bit concerned about that long-term. The supporting cast showed up for Dallas. I know Tim Hardaway Jr. was great in game two. I'm still leaning to the Clippers because they're more balanced, and I feel like they kind of need Patrick Beverley back because he provides some defensive stability. They need Paul George not to suck. And when he has a massive ice thing on his shoulder again, after he's had a bunch of injuries in pretty much every playoff run he's ever been in, that's a little bit of a red flag for me.
Yeah, I'm going to make LA show me they can play with this team, and so far they haven't done that. They when Porzingis and Doncic are playing, the Clippers have got no answer.
I'll tell you who needs more minutes. I was saying this after game one. It's a guy who a lot of people joke about as a meme, but if you actually watch him on the court, I think he's actually a very solid player. It's Boban. Boban was great in game two. The Clippers had no idea what they were doing with him, and I think he had, like 10 points in 13 minutes? But they couldn't guard him. Boban was doing whatever he wanted on the court. I think they should give him more minutes. I don't know if you agree with me there because people think, oh, he's too slow, whatever. Boban's actually he's just a good player.
Not horrible.
He's not great at running the floor, but I think he's pretty good. But the issue you have for the Clippers is Paul George's health. And that concerns me. Am I concerned about the series as a whole? No. I think the Clippers are still going to beat the Mavericks. But I got to give props to Dallas. I did not think it would be tied 1-1 through 2 games.
Yeah, I like with Beverly out.
I think Beverly's going to play today, but that's just my opinion.
Well, he's doubtful, so we'll see what happens. He's been downgraded, so.
I didn't realize he was downgraded. I still think he might play. It's a matter of Beverly. You know, I found out the Clippers are like 11-11 in games Beverly doesn't play in.
I believe that.
People give Beverly a lot of crap because, he talks a lot. He talks a big game and he'll score maybe 5 points a game. He actually provides a lot for that Clippers team.
He does.
Toughness and physicality. But he doesn't back down from anybody, and I respect that.
I'll fade you in the late game. I'll take Dallas once again here,
I didn't say I would take Clippers -5. I'm just saying I think that the Clippers are still the better overall team, and I give props to Dallas. I still get bothered by looking at Dallas' supporting cast and how they're giving Trey Burke 20 minutes. That's the one thing I can't get over, where Paul George needs to play better, of course. I know he's injured now again, which is a shock to everybody. I'm sure if you had Paul George injury in your playoff bingo card, you probably could scratch that off already.
Well, he isn't. He's not on the injury report for tonight.
No, but you have an ice pack on your shoulder after going 4 for 17. That's not a good sign. That's not exactly a good look. You look like you just went 9 innings of one-hit ball and you threw 130 pitches.
If I went 4 for 17, I'd want an ice pack on some part of my body. I'll tell you that.
I don't think Dallas can guard Kawhi either. So I think that's a balance. Kawhi had, 35 in game 2?
Yeah.
They can't guard him either. Lou Williams needs to play better. The main issue Clippers have is that they foul too much. And they were just giving away free throws on almost every possession. It was just awful to watch. But they need to – I don't know if you trap Doncic, you treat him like Harden, or you start doing the Lillard defense where you trap and you force other guys to beat you. I think you might have to trap Lillard. I mean, not Lillard. I think you might have to trap Doncic because he's just doing whatever he wants.
He is. Whatever they've come up with so far hasn't worked. So
it's the same offense every possession. It's a pick and roll with Doncic.
What are you taking there? You've been dancing around this. I've got Dallas +5. What do you want?
What am I dancing around?
You said I like the Clippers. I said, let's say you like the Clippers tonight. Well, I don't like a -5.
The split is close. If I was leaning anywhere, I'm going to fade the line movement. I'll take the over.
Okay. All right.
231 seems a bit low. Both teams offensively have looked – Dallas actually looked okay defensively, but I think that both teams have looked underwhelming defensively as a whole. I think both teams can get to the foul line a ton again, and I think both teams should probably get into the 115 to 120 range.
Okay. And
Do you have any thoughts on that?
on the,
Unless you think the NBA actually decides though that actually was too many fouls, we got to cut down on it. I don't see that happening.
yeah, I would probably lean over there. I mean, I can't imagine them calling it a game that tight again, but
Well, that's the point. If it's -5, you should get free throws at the end of the game as well, which helps out your over.
you're right.
I think
The
Clippers will win.
I would consider Dallas on the money line there at plus 180 too. I got to tell you.
It makes sense with Paul George's injury. I just think the Clippers are going to win tonight. But yeah, based on what you've seen so far, I definitely think that Dallas has a value as a live dog. I just don't think they're going to get the job done.
Okay. All right, good enough. Well, that's an NBA show for today. We'll see what happens. We've got basketball all day long, Scott.
I'm a huge fan of the format. Even better news, I heard the NBA is thinking about making a restart for next season around Christmas time, which is what I think they should do every year, because you're literally only competing with the end of football season and baseball season, so you're just cruising to free ratings. I think long term, this delay to the season might be the best thing that ever happened to the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. Because they're
talking about this for months, and now they finally looks like they realized, wait a second, we got no competition if we play in December.
Yeah, their TV ratings have been in free fall for the last 10 years.
Even the playoffs, it's been terrible in the playoffs.
They can't get people to watch the game. So, and I'm and I agree. It's compared to college basketball, I'd watch a Big South game before I'd watch an NBA game.
But I love college basketball, so I can't compare the two.
Right. I think there's a lot of people in the boat that you and I are.
But when you look at what they have normally, you have hockey on, which a lot of Americans don't watch, but I watch hockey. You have hockey, you have the NBA, you have baseball. You have a lot of sports going on. You're competing for ratings with everybody. If you have somewhat of a monopoly on the actual marketplace, your ratings are going to go up. So I expect the NBA to do really well in ratings in comparison to previous years next year.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens indeed, and we'll see what happens with today's games. Should be fun. Keep your eyes peeled. I know that I've got a couple premium plays on a couple of the NBA games, so I'm certainly going to be watching with bated breath. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about those games as well as preview tomorrow's card. That's our night. We're doing our night show, so it'll be up nice and early. Everybody will have an opportunity to check that out. We'll be able to handicap all 4 games tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
All right, bud. That's our NBA show. And as always, thanks very much for joining us. Don't forget to check out winnersandwhiners.com for deep dives into every game going on in America every single day, 100% free. You know the drill over there at Winners and Whiners. Get over there. You'll love it. I promise you will use it as one of your regular capping resources. For myself, for Scott Rochelle, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Good luck on all of your plays today. And, hey, hang around. We'll be doing some baseball right after this. All right, you guys take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.